Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. Now, feedback is immensely important. Feel free to reach out. The best way to do that is through email and YouTube. So, I'm running ads both visually on Paramount Plus. You hear an ad about the Harboring Light, that's me, and also auditorily, but it's a visual graphic, and you can actually hear my voice. And you can click the link. And that's running through different platforms for Spotify, iHeartRadio, even NBC News radio, podcast, and so forth. You hear those things? That's me. All right, so I'm on a lot of different platforms, so it just won't be hard to find me. So the topic of choice here, I'm going to talk about the origin and why neon bright colors were so prevalent and why it started in the 1980s. Here we go. All right, so I think I want to change it up and talk about neon. Because, it typically, and that's something I'm thinking about maybe talking about for this month or maybe for April. Spring, you talk about pastel, colors like that. But, it's a different thought process. Neon is really, in itself, vibrant and joyful. And those things associate itself together. No, Piper, don't do that. Leave Manny alone. Leave him alone. Don't do that. Manny's our dog. So. Okay. And so, why not go into that aspect? But it's something about the energy of why particularly the 1980s was it very predominant for that generation here to wear such vibrant, bright colors. So as I said before, and I'll say it again, what you wear is pretty much a walking billboard into your personality. You're assuming people assume and have a take about yourself. And so for a generation to say, hey, we want to be known for very vibrant colors, that really speaks into the sort of mentality of where they were going. So with this said, I'm going to get into a lot of facts about it here. And particularly, I'm a fan of the 1980s. So, here we go. Alright, so, sorry about that. Alright, so let's go here. And this episode might be a little bit shorter, because it is more straight to the point. I mean, it's more concise, let's say that. And I don't want to just drag it out, So, fashion evolves through generation and trends. It makes a comeback all the time. One such trend that the world of fashion witnessed was that of the neon color. Now, it's quite interesting. They talk about the 1970s here. So in the 1970s here, and you can see these trends in history here with particular generations. So the 70s came before the 80s, okay? And yeah, it's very clear because it was about that Sheba baby sort of, natural, transition and shag, chic, all of that. And there's a lot of earth tones. And then, polyesters, when you get into the aspects of the disco becoming more and more prevalent. So those things were quite tacked on when you think about the 1970s. Okay, I'll be right back. So, y'all, bear with me. Pardon me. Alright, so pardon me, y'all. I don't know where you are experiencing this, but, the change of the weather, that can wreak havoc with your immune system. But I'm hanging in there. So, that's what's going on right now. So, getting back to that. So, as I was saying, so it was all about being natural, being of Mother Earth, and so forth. And then having that with more flash, when we think about disco. So, it says, in the 1970s, color palette saw more subdued or subtle shades when it came to color. Pastel nudes, softer hues were huge then. Now came the 80s. The 80s saw fashion in a new light because of the advancement of technology when it came to dyeing fabrics. This gave birth to experimental fashion, and hence came the love for the glowing neon color. Now, the decade of neon. Neon was such a rage that it gave the 80s the title of the neon decade. Ultra bright pop colors were the flavor of the season. Elite socialists like Paris Hilton claimed to have started the trend per Vogue Australia, but what is no proof to back that up. So the question still remains, why the color neon? Why neon? Unlike other loud colors, neon has a more glowing effect and is pleasant to the eye. With neon, you don't have to try extra hard to stand out. You just do because, it's common sense. Neon, it's glowing, it even glows in the dark without trying. So you're going to stand out. People are going to notice you. You can just about wear anything in neon and it will automatically catch one's attention. Now, and it goes on if you're interested in different style and arrangements for neon. So, neon being a unisex and fun color, men should also have a little fun with it too. So if you're not too sure of owning a garment, you can also own these neon accessories. They're talking about ties and bow ties. So that's quite fun to dive into. So that's a little tidbit about the aspects of neon and fashion and culture. Now let's get on to more details about it. So popular 80s colors and how they were used in fashion, cars, home, and more. So the 1980s were about Brad Pack movies, MTV, Miami Vice, video games, big hair, and the unforgettable retro 80s colors. Unlike the natural shades and subdued aesthetics of today, and in the 1970s, it's interesting how fashion, when you really pay attention to it, is very circular. All right, so okay. The bright hues and colorful patterns of the 80s sparked nostalgia for a time gone but not forgotten. So, popular colors of the 80s. The most popular color trends of the 80s included specific color combinations, including neon pastel and vibrant colors. So neon colors like neon pink, electric blue, and acid yellow made a profound impact on the 80s culture and style. People wore bright colored outfits and neon makeup and to add on decals to vehicles and to the aspects to add more pop into the ensemble of what you were wearing for the humans there. And a decorated photo slide with neon markers. So if you're planning to dress up in the 80s style for Halloween, neon colors are a great nostalgic, iconic choice. Pastel colors like mint green, soft pink, baby blue, and Easter yellow define many people's experience through the decade. These colors often were used as a part of a preppy aesthetic, and that's quite interesting because, you know, as I said again about the aspect of what you wear is a symbolic of your ideas of and everything associated with that. So the aspects of preppy versus, you know, punk, whatever look, that was established to say as a status tier, a status quo, not status quo, a status symbol. So what that means is, you know, for those who know, you know what I'm talking about. For those who know, what that meant was, you know, if you were a preppy look, that means that you come from wealth. But versus you're going Ivy League, you know, associated with that. Versus if you're not into that kind of look, you're either, you know, middle class or other, or in this case, punk rock, more of the down tier class. And that's quite interesting. Now, bold colors with vibrant tones like colors used in the MTV logos were also popular. So bright colors like hot pink, bright yellow, and purple and teal helped to define the 80s, but continue to be even more popular as you get into the earlier part of the 1990s. Now, differences in color palettes across applications. Now, the 80s color palette is iconic, but different color combinations were popular in different applications. So, for instance, fashion used different 80s color schemes than interior or automotive colors. So, while not every article of clothing displayed in were displayed in day-glow colors, boldness was certainly a theme in the 80s. Whether you were new wave blazers, preppy pastel t-shirts, or glam psychedelic colors. Some of the most popular colors in the 80s were athletic fashions, where you get with indigo, mauve, forest green, tan, and orange. While popular colors and pastels were invigorated, which also invigorated the preppy aesthetic. So, when thinking back about the 80s fashion, you typically think of the bright color blocking schemes that were typical among the younger generation with multi-color segments of combination of rainbow colors. And so, that a lot of this is associated, as they're saying, with Miami Vice and the aspects of what that did and how that changed culture in itself, that show, and everything that came along with it. So, even graphic design and the aspects of this, you know, when you think about Miami Vice, you think about Back to the Future and so forth. These are very reminiscent. You got Howard the Duck, you got the list. There's so many. You got Short Circuit. You got let me see, so many examples. When you see the aesthetics and the color schemes of these movies and the posters and so forth, and the merchandise along with it, and the characters and how they are, they're quintessential to the 1980s, and then even more so, a character, 1980s character that resemble all of this, I would say from my point of view, what's his name? Ferris Bueller. Okay, so, now, And some say this too, which I found quite interesting too, that to wrap everything up, that with the 1980s, people wore an attitude, an optimistic attitude, and people were becoming more optimistic about their endeavors and the economic growth in which was coming in front of them. So that's what suited along, which makes a whole lot of sense. When you know, say what you will about Reagan and Reaganomics and so forth, but it was really implemented, and a good example of the aspects of what capitalism and assorting these things and bringing these things, capitalism, and then associating yourself with it, what it can do to the progress of your society. And then some say, okay, that was the start of big business getting into bed with politics. Well, I don't see it like that. I see it as the aspects of, that's criticism in itself. You can criticize everything. There's a critic to everything. But the aspects of how I see it is, businesses, and especially small businesses, everything started to be more established and more regulated. And it started to be more evident about how important the influence and the impact and scaling that out and making all that, a well-still machine, making that more efficient with the understanding of how important businesses and small businesses are to a community of a culture. And the 1980s saw that, really, really saw that, because, the aspects of middle class became more prevalent, where people were making more money, and then, being able to even afford more and more. And I don't know, something to be said about that. So, I would like to know what you all think. Feel free to reach out to me. And the best way to do that is through email and through YouTube. Just, give me comments. Alright, so this reaches the end of the Harmony Light. Tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye for now.